Question number 9, Carmel Sepuloni.
To the Minister for Social Development, does she stand by all her statements?
The Honourable Anne Tolley.
Yes, in the context in which they were made.
Supplementary
question, Carmel Sepuloni.
Why did she claim that Work and Income New Zealand does not record the housing status of clients when the Prime Minister was quoted on the 16th of May 2016 using a Work and Income New Zealand homeless figure of 428, and her colleague Paula Bennett stated last week that the government does know how many people are sleeping rough and don't have places to go?
The Honourable Anne Tolley.
Well, Mr Speaker, that question was asked in the estimates hearing today and was adequately explained to the member that there are different categories that Work and Income collect information under. One is homelessness and one is insecure housing. The member was also told that although it's not my responsibility as a minister, that is the Minister of Social Housing's responsibility, the criteria under which we take that information is being reviewed.
Supplementary question, Carmel Sepuloni.
On what basis did her government determine the $9 million additional dollars to the special needs grant for a 7-day subsidy, given that she says she does not have data on the average stay in emergency motel accommodation and does not know how much Work and Income New Zealand has spent on assistance for this to date?
The Honourable Anne Tolley.
Mr Speaker, as again was discussed at the estimates hearing this morning, we have done some work to determine the $9 million injection into emergency housing. But we are also making changes to the way that we collect data, not the least being by having the special needs grant for emergency housing non-recoverable, we will be able to get better information on how much and how many times that is accessed by clients. That will mean that we will be in a much better position come Budget 17 to know exactly whether that $9 million is going to be sufficient, whether it's too much, or whether we need more.
Point of order, Carmel Sepuloni.
I seek leave to table an Official Information Act response from the Ministry of Social Development, not publicly available, dated 13th of January 2016, that states the average length of stay in emergency motel accommodation using MST payments is 10 days.
The Leavers sought to table that particular OIA response. Is there any objection to it being tabled? There has been...
Supplementary question.
Order. I'll put the leave. Leave has been denied. That's the end of that matter. Supplementary question, Carmel Sepuloni.
Does she disagree with the Social Housing Minister's decision to invest $9 million in the Special Needs Grant for emergency housing, given that she said in Select Committee today she does not recognise an increase in the need for emergency housing?
The Honourable Anne Tolley.
Mr Speaker, I don't believe that I ever stated that, and I do agree with the Minister for Social Housing in having that special needs grant non-recoverable.
Supplementary question, Carmel Sepuloni.
Has she asked Cabinet to forgive debt for emergency accommodation through the special needs grants, given that she stated in Select Committee today that it is unfair that Work and Income New Zealand clients are forced to pay this back?
The Honourable Anne Tolley.
Mr Speaker, again, the member must quote accurately if she's going to try and put words in my mouth. I never said that at any stage. But no, I repeat what I said. We have hard-working people in New Zealand who are paying their debt back to Work and Income, and it would be most unfair if we then decided for a certain group of people to write off their debt.
Order. Question,